Wait, oh, we're live. We're live. Oh my gosh. And paste in the link here for people to go watch. And so, hello everybody. This is Adam, Transparency Pro, the Game Machine, with second episode of our Shoulder Buttons podcast. I have Mr. Richie D. Reds with us here tonight. How you doing?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Hey, doing pretty good. So apparently nothing's happened in video games this week, right?
No, it's actually pretty good.
So yeah, it's E3 week. It's gamers gamer season for Blue Balls. All the games we want to play, but we can't play. But you know, unless we're one of the few privileged two with a golden ticket and get to go to E3. La-di-da. But you know, there's still a lot of stuff to cover. Lots and lots of game news and announcements. You know, we'll just get right to it and get down to the meat and potatoes of what's going on. So, you want to just start off? We're gonna. I didn't really watch the EA or Ubisoft press conferences. I don't really feel like they're an important enough press conference to actually really talk about. Like they got a lot of games and stuff, but I don't really feel like they're the important ones we really need to watch. Plus, I mean, we can just talk about their games separately anyway, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, we can tack it on then if we have to.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, we'll get the press conference out of the way, then we'll talk about the games we saw and were interested in. So, yeah, we have, let's see. So let's start off with, since they went first, let's start off with Microsoft and their Xbox conference. And I was watching this, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by it because, you know, they've not been that good at doing press conferences. It's usually like, look at this cool new feature. Look, you could talk to your television. And this year they were like, game, some DLC, game, exclusive, game. Yeah, and they were just like popping it off. I know some people, I know we'll get more into Sony here in a minute, but I kind of felt like they had one of the better press conferences in the show. I felt like they did offer like a lot of games, and I did feel like there was a variety for the people who like the crazy Japanese action games, people who like their first-person shooters, people who were just it was just like kind of a different variety, that racing and all this other kind of stuff. So I guess I'll just go over a few standouts for me. Though there wasn't any gameplay for these two. Phantom Dust, which I actually just picked up the original Xbox copy. Surprisingly, it still works on 360, and it actually doesn't look too bad if you use HDMI cables. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, that's what that original game was. It also was really big for its multiplayer. But apparently, it's a kind of a weird kind of action RPG hybrid. So you're in this arena, you have to fight enemies, but you collect power-ups in the form of these cards. And what you do with these cards is they're kind of your arsenal. So you build a deck of cards, but you're using them to fight enemies. So, in other words, it's not like an actual, anything like Magic per se. It's like I said, it's really just an action game, but it uses cards like you would in a Magic deck to actually fight, which is kind of an interesting premise. Also, I want to say it's called Scalebound. Was that it? Because let's face it, I'm a big Platinum nut, so I love their games. Metal Gear Rising was my favorite game last year. So, yeah, and to see what they're doing, what's really interesting to me about it, and people griped about the headphones for some reason. I don't know why. It's like, I wear Beats headphones. It's like, it's probably just a generic pair of headphones that just happen to look like Beats. Anyway, and what was interesting is that, it showed that he was using the dragon and stuff like that, so it looks like there was going to be some actual combat, but I also saw that he was flying with other dragons, so I'm wondering if that implies that it's a multiplayer game, so that might be interesting to see. Halo Anniversary Collection, that I'm very looking forward to, and the return of Halo 2 multiplayer, something me and friends have played a long time ago. Really got into that. I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head, but I know there was more, but I just can't think of it at the moment. What about you, man? What stood out for you from Microsoft? Anything at all?
I think right off the bat, Sunset Overdrive looked just
yes,
amazing.
I forgot about
that. I think that's going to be, when it drops, it's going to be one of the best games across the board on next gen.
I love how I just poked fun of military shooters, because it was like the guy in the cover, and then this sarcastic little asshole punk is just like, yeah, man, let's grind rails and shoot monsters. So
well, yeah, that's actually what got me was at first I was like, oh, just another generic shooter. And then he bounced through the door, and I was like, oh, wow, that's actually really it's a pretty inventive way to market the game.
Yeah, to me, it's like a weird cross between like just Insomniac games in general, like Ratchet and Clank meets Jet Set Radio, Jet Grind Radio. Just it's completely nuts, but I'm really excited to play it.
I noticed how they separated that and Crackdown, because if you look, that and Crackdown, their art style is really, really similar. Like
kind of. I would say the art style is more similar to what Saints Row 4 was in a weird way, because Saints Row 4 was kind of like futuristic. It was like the alien Matrix world with a lot of deep purples and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and there we go. Yeah, I just had to turn the I had to turn it off for a second.
Great.
Then we got the Tomb Raider game that was announced. That I'm not really excited for, but I think they should have renamed it to something else, because Rise of the Tomb Raider is just awful.
Rise of the Tomb Raider. Yeah, that's kind of a weird name. It makes me think of I don't know. It makes me think of something else. I just don't think it was really that amazing. It was like the title of it, but it was interesting how she was talking to a therapist and things like that, and how she's trying to kind of come with grips with things, and anybody that probably, like, I didn't get to play much of the game, but from the idea I got from it, she's been through a lot, and anybody probably been through that would be traumatized. But I'm going to plan on probably picking up the version for Xbox One when it hits $20 or $30. But yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, from at least the teaser, it's going to imply something interesting. But I guess we won't find out till later on more about it.
Yeah, another thing that really stuck out to me is when they did the ID at Xbox thing. They kind of ran through the indies, the little reel, and we got to look at a game called Cuphead. And that art style is very reminiscent of that the old Disney, like Mickey Mouse tugboat.
Oh, it's like it's like that really golden era of the 30s and 40s cartoons.
Yeah, it really does that.
That just blew my mind. I was like, wow, that was like a really neat art style choice, and I'm just wondering how in the world do they do that. So
yeah, same with Inside by the guys who made Limbo. That game was really good as well too.
Yeah. But yeah, there was a lot of indie stuff on it, and it's good to see that Microsoft is supporting indies. I know that Sony's been really good at it, really big into it. Nintendo has; they just don't get talked about. They've been really big pushing on indies. And Microsoft's now trying to, after the years, and especially the horror that was the what was that indie game shop that was on the 360, where it was like everything was $1 and most of it was either clones of something, anime girl games, and then there's like a few gyms here and there. There was a few games that I was like, okay, I really like these games. It was worth paying for, but other stuff I was like,
yeah. What are your thoughts on Fable Legends?
Fable Legends. Well, I'm not a diehard Fable fan. I did play the first one, liked it. Never got into Fable 2, so I've never really been big in that series. But it's a very interesting perspective. It kind of makes me think, like, it's like kind of in a way kind of doing its own thing, kind of like being its own evolved in a way, except that the gameplay differences between the people fighting the warlord and then the warlord itself is different, because the warlord is actually like placing. Like the attacks. It's like a strategy. Strategy game. So.
It's interesting. I'm not a big Fable fan, like you said. I mean, I'm not huge into the series, but I would have liked the protagonist, like the different classes, to be a little bit more varied. They felt really kind of cookie cutter and standard.
You never know. They may have more characters, or I feel like this is going to be just a downloadable game. I don't feel like this is going to be a full. I'd be shocked if it's a full $60 product, to be honest with you. But it might be fun. Who knows? There may be more classes that's just the only 4 they're showing right now, but I don't know for sure. I didn't follow that one too much in particular. Let's see. I probably should. For some reason, anything else with Microsoft, or?
I think we're good there.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so unfortunately, for some reason, I'm blanking out on mostly Sony stuff, but there's a few things I want to talk about. But I'll start with you since you probably remember a little bit more than I do, and then I'll talk about some of the stuff I want, and then I'll just play off you here.
So the first thing that really caught my eye was the Far Cry 4 gameplay. Just amazing.
Yes. Oh
It
my
featured exactly what I
gosh,
wanted to
yes.
see.
You can attack
The
people with elephants, apparently.
yeah, I was really happy to see the wingsuit make an appearance so soon. Hopefully, it'll be soon in the gameplay because that was one of my favorite things about um, 3 was the
The glider.
ability to jump off just whatever and have the wingsuit. So that was pretty cool to see that. I also like the ability to, if you have the game and you're playing, you can invite a friend to play, and they don't even have to have the copy of the game. They can come and play co-op with you. So that's crazy. It's kind
Yeah,
of like the
that's pretty crazy. I hope because I'm more of a single player kind of guy when it comes to stories. I know a lot of people like co-op, so I'm hoping that it's balanced enough to where somebody can enjoy it as a single player experience, and for also same is true for people like co-op that it's not just shoehorned in just
yeah.
because that everything's got a good balance to it. But yeah, so far from all the stuff I've seen, previews and things like that, especially the villain, which I know we're not going into Ubisoft and EA because really them holding a press conference is kind of dumb in my opinion. Um, they're not making a console, so to me holding a press conference is dumb. But yeah, they showed off the villain in Far Cry, who is freaking crazy.
Yeah, he seems. I think I'm gonna really like him.
Yeah, and he seems to also know the protagonist, so that's also something that's like catching my interest. And also, I just wanted to kill wildlife with a flamethrower. Really, the moments I enjoyed most in Far Cry 3 were not really the story bits. I did like going to the towers and things like that. I did like attacking enemies and stuff like that. But what I really loved was fighting just random ass animals, using flamethrowers, rocket launchers at them. I was a horrible person, but the worst animal was the giant bird, and I forgot the name or what they were called. Cassowary, that's it. The cassowaries are evil as hell, man. Those are the evilest fucking bird. Like, no, the tigers, they're not a problem. Bears, not a problem. Cassowaries, you're fucked. They are the worst. but yeah, they are the adversary to beat in that game. But yeah, seriously though, and Blood Dragon 2 was, as silly as that was, I kind of hope in some way or fashion Ubisoft's going to kind of do something with more Blood Dragon stuff. So
yeah. Also, what do you have anything else you wanted to say about them?
about Far Cry, not really, except I heard something about someone saying you could weaponize elephants. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, there was a point. I don't know if it was story driven or if it was actually triggered, but there was a time where an elephant came and kind of knocked over a car and made it explode. So they didn't say if that was like an.
Oh, I thought then they meant weaponizing an elephant. I thought that meant like you could actually add a machine gun to it.
Oh, I don't think so. I know you can ride them.
Crap! An elephant with a machine gun. I want that. But yeah, I'm definitely very excited for that game too. The one that did come to mind, and I might as well go ahead and just bring it up real quick and let you continue. And I know you're probably going to agree with me on this. Mortal Kombat X. Apparently, it is X. It's not 10. It's called Mortal Kombat X. And from what I found out by listening to, watching some videos on it and getting people's impressions, apparently what we saw in the trailer where Scorpion was just giving Sub-Zero the living, just giving him the shit. Apparently that wasn't the whole fatality. What you've seen there, and it's even more gruesome than that, they just wouldn't show it. And apparently, I guess they're not going to put trailers up because it was like a closed thing, I guess. But basically, they had mentioned that like what happens after that, one of the fatalities is they peels off Sub-Zero's face, and like his tongue's hanging out, and you see part of his brain, and it was like apparently it's like even more gruesome. And they said with it being on the Xbox One and PS4, or at least I don't know if they had PS4 units or what they were running, but apparently. Yeah, like I've heard someone comment, it's like, how's this even going to get past the ASRB?
Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen, I saw a couple, I want to say 4 or 5 matches. When Ed Boon came and visited IGN, I was watching their stream, and it gruesome.
So I'm wondering if they even thought of that point, because them and the USRB have not had the best history in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah, I don't
Hillary
know.
Clinton's going to get on that. But yeah, and then they showed off. Apparently, there's also apparently I don't know if they ever shown this, and I don't know if you've seen footage on it, but apparently Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade had a daughter.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if they showed footage of her or not, but apparently someone had told, from what I'm hearing, is that one of her moves is that she punches a guy in the dick.
okay.
So she gets that from her father.
Yeah, from what I saw from her fatality, one of the things she does, she actually stabs a guy in his like in between the eyes, and then
Yeah.
takes a bubble gum that she's like chewing, puts it there, and it like blows a bubble of blood, and then just pops.
That's ridiculous. I
Yeah,
love it though.
pretty crazy.
Mortal Kombat is just crazy. The block button thing kind of bothers me. I know people that traditionally play Mortal Kombat love a block button. You know, it's hard for me because I'm more from the Street Fighter and other type of fighters where you hold back. But you know, that's traditional Mortal
Right.
Kombat. You know, things
Yeah.
like that. I just hope they improve the netcode, because with Mortal Kombat 9, if you try to play a game online, it was balls, man. It was just not good. Story-wise, though, they did a real good job with the story and like giving you all kinds of content. But yeah, if you wanted to like play that game longer than 40 hours and like really
Right.
get deep into it, unless you had a buddy on the couch, it just wasn't that great.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, the that game Entwined that was showed off, really interesting. It's available now for I want to say like $10, but
Yeah, I
you
saw
play
that.
as two
It
separate birds
doesn't
or
look like
something.
my cup of tea, so I'm
Yeah,
kind of
it's
curious.
it's really artsy, but you actually
Yeah.
it's a cool concept. I mean, you use the two analog sticks to control two different birds, and then somehow through the gameplay you become a dragon at one point. So I don't know if I'm gonna buy it, but I'm definitely gonna look up some videos and see how it plays. I mean, $10 is $10, so if it
Yeah,
looks good, I might give it a try. It's not like it's like $60, so
yeah. Cool, cool. What else did you like? Well, actually, there is one other thing I guess I'll touch on real quick, and then I'll let you go back because, like I said, you probably remember a little bit more about the Sony. For some reason, I'm just kind of zoning in and out about it. But this may not be big news to most people, but where I do a video show and I like to capture reviews and videos and things like that, Vita TV or PlayStation TV, as being called, is coming to the States. $99 or $139 with the controller, PS3 controller, and a game and a gig memory card. So really, it's kind of like a Roku that plays Vita games.
yeah,
Basically, so I want to get one of those basically for those kind of needs. Also, I have Persona 4 Gold. I just want to play that shit on a TV, even if it
yeah,
is going to be a little bit under regular HD. What about
yeah.
you? Is this something you're interested in? Is this something, because I know you don't really do a lot of gameplay capture type videos, so is this even something you're remotely interested in, or are you just kind of like, eh?
Well, for me, I mean, $100 is probably what I would jump on is just the base unit, because one thing that I think is pretty cool is that you can actually use it to stream your PS4
That's right.
as well.
That's right.
So say like I have my PS4 in one room and I put this into the living room, I can play my PS4 on that TV without having to move
That's
the unit
right.
out. So I think that's pretty cool, along with being able to play the upscale Vita games. It's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
So,
Sadly,
and I
the
think at
selection is
$100
limited,
is
but
solid.
yeah, the selection of video games is limited, but they're supposed to actually show what that is. So,
Right.
but
Yeah.
but yeah,
I mean, I
that's
think
really,
it's a cool piece of hardware.
yeah, it definitely is. So interested in that. So yeah, now go ahead and what do you got? What do you got next?
Project Beast was announced to be Bloodborne,
That's
which is
mhm.
pretty cool looking. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen some more screenshots and GIFs and videos and stuff have come out since the presentation, and it looks really nice. So that's something that I'm pretty excited for.
Yeah, and that's made by the people who did Demon Souls and Dark Souls.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
That
it
has
looks really
everything.
interesting. One game, although I'm not too excited about it, I don't know how you feel about it. A lot of people were talking about this. They're kind of excited for it. Called The Order. Is it 1886? I think.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
werewolf hunting game where they showed a little preview of the dude getting hunted by werewolves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what did you think of my impressions of it? Was like, I didn't really have much of an impression. Some of it just seemed like not really that great of a vertical slice, in my opinion of it. What do you think?
Honestly, from what I've seen from that and what I've seen before, I actually think that merges well together because what we saw before was a very cover-based shooter. Like some people were comparing it to Gears of War, so I was kind of nervous about that. And then what we saw here was almost like an early Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
So to see those two merged together is actually pretty interesting. And right now I'm not sold on it. Like I'm not going to jump out to the store and pre-order it, but I'll definitely be keeping my eye on it because it's interesting. The game, I like its art style. I like where it's going with the its lighting is pretty cool too. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, graphically, even though the stream I was watching wasn't amazing, it looked like it would be really, really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what else you got for us?
Suda51 announced Let It Die.
Let It Die. Grim Reaper's on skateboards. The next generation of Tony Hawk is here.
I still, after watching it a couple times, I mean, I don't really understand what's going to be. There's rumors of it being free to play. So that's weird.
Yeah, apparently, it sounds like it is. And apparently, there was another game that he was going to work on. It was more of an anime-style game, but he decided to transition to this. To me, at least from the, it wasn't really showing gameplay, but to me, you know what it made me think of? It made me think of Manhunt.
Yeah.
Looking at this here, so, I'm not really impressed with the art style that much, though I'm not really into dark, kind of more horror motifs, so I'm not really the person... to really, talk about that kind of stuff. So,
right, yeah. What else was there? One thing that really blew my mind, which I was not suspecting at all, and I really looked at a lot of rumors and stuff, was the announcement of an HD remake of Grim Fandango. That really just came at a left.
That came out of nowhere. Now, I never really played it, but it was an adventure game. Tim Schafer and his crew worked on it, and it was a Disney property. So
that's what blows my mind is that they actually got the rights to do it, and I want to say it's a Sony exclusive too. So
yeah, I think what happened was because Tim Schafer and them, they had to do a Kickstarter to get some of their other games to be launched, and so what happened here is that Sony probably just saw an opportunity to get more types of games and IP like Microsoft's doing too, which to be honest with you, Microsoft's mascot's really been Master Chief since the Xbox original. I mean, whether or not you would say it's still just as popular compared to Call of Duty. When people think Microsoft, think Master Chief. But what do you really think of when you think of Sony? Really, back in the PlayStation 1 days, Crash Bandicoot, but they never owned Crash Bandicoot. Now, who do you really associate Sony with? And when it comes to that, but but they're both trying to get some interesting IPs, and they also announced a lot of indies and stuff like that too.
Oh, yeah.
Force is coming, that's one of them, and several others. So Sony's keeping that up with the whole PlayStation thing, and what the heck was the stupid comic thing that they went on about?
Oh, okay, that was awful. What was it called? Powers?
So Kingpin came on stage. Spider-Man was nowhere to be seen. He was upset. He looked really nervous being on stage.
There's a difference between that guy and let's just say the guy from No Man's Sky. That man looked nervous, but the man who talked about powers, I think his intention was just to suck the enthusiasm, because up until that point, even with the hardware they talked about, Sony's conference was pretty damn good. But that man literally just...
I felt like it was okay. It wasn't amazing. Last year was kind of them just kind of pow, pow, pow. They were punching the crap out of Microsoft and Nintendo last year. Sony was, I pre-ordered a PS4. The only reason I canceled is because Microsoft changed their policies and there were games I wanted on Xbox One right away. So
yeah.
But yeah, if Microsoft didn't do that reversal, I would be having a PS4 at this moment.
Right. Yeah, I liked what I saw. You figure we got the Destiny, we got the Destiny Alpha, we got the Battlefield Beta.
So I want to play Destiny. Why can't I play it on my Xbox One?
It's pretty solid. From what I've been playing, it's pretty good.
Killer Instinct, I guess. But no, that's cool that they did a lot of that stuff. They also mentioned something about what game was it that... Was it Far Cry 4, I think, that you could let a friend play a slice of it with you, and they don't actually have to own the game. You got a certain amount of keys you can hand out and things like that.
Yeah, that is Far Cry 4. That they don't have to have the game.
Yeah, and from what I was listening to Giant Bomb podcast, apparently it's not the full game. So don't think you're just going to be able to share the full game with your friends and
Yeah.
all get to play to get. Yeah, I think it's more like they kind of get a demo they can play with you
Yeah.
on it, but of course they're not going to just do that.
Yeah. So and then finally they hit us with the Uncharted 4 Thief's End.
Yes,
And
Uncharted
Naughty
4.
Dog actually came out and said that was in engine. So
That looks really, really good. I just want some gameplay of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Uncharted is one of the few Sony IPs I actually am interested in getting, and I'm eventually going to get PS4. As far as how soon, that's to be determined. I want to get it for one particular game we'll talk about later. That's, of course, not on most people's radar, but me, I'm always into the different kind of games. So, but yeah, Uncharted 4. The preview, the graphics looked amazing. Apparently, they're going back for one more rodeo. It's implying. So yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen. We probably won't find out any more till next E3 or sometime in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty much anything you think we left off, or anything you think we should talk about.
No Man's Sky. I mean that. Yeah.
Yes, that was the one I was wanting to talk about. That
good.
was so gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing looking. That game and what those guys, that small team, can do. That's really what blew my mind, is how small that team is. And they faced a flood and all this other stuff, and the fact that they are able to kind of pull themselves out of that rut and get back into it. And can keep on working on this is just incredible. So it's really a testament to what people can really do. So it's really great.
Yeah, it's so seamless, and the colors are so amazing on it. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about it, because there's always these big promises, but not everything delivers. Kind of like a lot of like Watch Dogs, for example, is a good one. But yeah. Anyway, guess now that Sony's ended, let's talk about Nintendo. And holy crap, I want to make love with Reggie. Reggie's so fine. But yeah, so let's talk about the start of the press conference, where they got the guys from Robot Chicken to do an intro and also make Mother 3 fans cry, because they never announced a Mother 3. But yeah, what did you think of the Robot Chicken sketches that they had in it, and also the Reggie Iwata Dragon Ball Z moment?
I like the Reggie and Iwata thing. Not a huge fan of what we saw from Robot Chicken.
Really? I loved it.
Kid, but I did like the one where Reggie shot the lasers out of his eyes. That one was a good one.
Not a big Robot Chicken fan, I take it?
I am, but there wasn't. I don't know. I think
they didn't cuss enough for you.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think they were just the cleanness of the jokes.
Yeah, but you know what, though? I think it worked. I mean, there was not going to be anything expected. I was actually surprised they allowed Reggie to set somebody on fire, though.
Yeah.
I figured that was a little graphic for Nintendo. But, yeah, I kind of liked it. I did like the one bit where Bowser and the princess were, at the last donut. And he was like, yeah, I'm kind of sorry I kidnapped you. And can I have the donut? And she's like, fuck you. And just takes the donut. But yeah, of course, let's talk about the game. Smash Brothers news. So the announcement of you being able to play as yourself or Ice-T or any person or character you can imagine as a Mii. And it's not just a simple, they got, here's a Mii, here's the moveset. You can choose between 3 types of character classes and actually choose your moves. So that's kind of mind-bending to think that about that. What do you think? Do you really want to play as Ice-T in the new Smash Brothers?
I mean, I think it's cool. I like the idea of it. I feel like it might be it might cause some balancing issues right out of the gate.
You know what I think? I think, to be honest with you, because there's the fun and for glory mode, I think some of that stuff, I feel like, or at least I hope, that those modes will be set. And, in tournaments and stuff, they'll probably stop people from using that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, for sure. I guess while we're on the Smash Brothers topic, I guess we'll talk about the other couple other character Let's
Yeah.
see. I'm trying to think of what the other character announcement. Not Pac-Man, but wasn't there another? What's that?
Paulatina or whatever her name is.
Palutena, yes, the
Yeah.
goddess from
Yeah.
Kid Icarus, and I love the little anime cutscene they had with Link and
Yeah.
Pit just fighting each
Totally.
other.
That
It
was
makes me
great.
wish that they did a series of it now because it
Yeah,
just looks
I
so
tweeted
awesome.
about that. I tweeted about this a little bit. I was like, I honestly, and I'll stick to it. I would trade Smash for the 3DS, Woolly Yoshi or whatever the heck it's called, and that Kirby game. All three of those, I would trade for a full season of that anime.
Man, but yeah, that was just so neat. And then of course she comes out and she looks like she'll be a really good character, though. I could see some people thinking she's broken, but yeah. And then of course after the three, just want to touch on the fact Pac-Man's going to be in it since Namco's been working with him on it. That's kind of cool to think about. So you got Mario, the mascot of Nintendo. You got Sonic, the mascot of Sega. Pac-Man, the mascot of Namco, and Mega Man, the mascot and also the abused child of Capcom. So you got all those guys in there. It's to me, I never understood the reason why Snake was in Smash Brothers. I mean, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it didn't really make sense. This makes more sense to me.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of cool that they're doing it. And do you want to touch on the Smash tournament here? I don't know if you got to watch it or not.
No, I didn't get to watch it.
Oh my gosh, man, that was so packed. The house is crowded. They put on one hell of a show. They got people that were professional announcers and players in the Smash community to play and announce and host the show. They also had Jeff Keighley because why the fuck not? He's just hired for everything. And it was a really entertaining show. They all the pro players there. People got excited. People got to vote for which characters they liked. They would hold up. That gave people a booklet of all the different characters that were in the game, and they held up which characters they wanted to see. The only character they didn't allow to be playable was Donkey Kong because they said he's way too powerful right now, so they need to balance him, so they banned him from their own tournament, which I was like, wow, they actually did that. One of the best parts of that show was near the end. And I think you would, and this is the first time I think anybody's ever heard Reggie said this publicly, and I think it's the most awesome thing that happened. So he gets on stage, this one guy that was in the tournament asked Reggie before he goes, he's like, you and me, let's play a match. You can play as your me. And Reggie turns to him and says, look, I'm terrible at Smash Brothers, but I'm going to have it on my 3DS when I travel, and I promise the next time we have one of these, I'm going to come back and kick your ass. The crowd lost it. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
I was hoping that, by the time the show came around, I was able to go to Smash Fest because I was off on Wednesday and get to play the game. But sadly, here was the thing. So I was making a day out of it with me and my cousin. And his girlfriend came along, and, we got stuff out to eat. We went looking for some games in a few places, like some mom-pop shops. Figured, it's not going to be that bad of a line.
Right.
I for some reason, I did not think that people would be crazy obsessed in line with Smash Brothers. Well, when I got to the Best Buy, the line was from and this was kind of a big Best Buy. So the front of the store is where the headphones and stuff was. So the line started there and went all the way to the very far back where the appliances and refrigerators and stuff was.
Wow.
And apparently the wait was 3 to 4 hours. So unfortunately I didn't get to because they had to go back and I had to go to work the next day. So it was. And the next time they're doing it is Saturday, which I work.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed because I wanted to get my hands on the game because it looked so good. But yeah, apparently people in that line were jerks, so I didn't get to try that out, unfortunately. But yeah, anyways, Smash Brothers, from what I'm seeing, is looking incredible. I cannot wait for that game. I am so excited. That's one of my big games of the year. What about you? I know you don't have a Wii U.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay, good. So is that one of them that you're going to be picking up for the Wii U?
Yeah, I'll definitely. There's rumors about, or I don't know if they announced it or not, but them packaging, like I was saying about the Smash, the adapter, and the GameCube controller for under $100. I want to say something like that.
I don't know if they are or not. I do know they're selling it separately for $20, the adapter, which is not bad at all.
No, but if they do a bundle, I'll definitely be picking that up.
Yeah, so that'd be awesome. Okay. Let's see. Next up, Yoshi's Yarn. That I can. Here's the thing about Yoshi's Yarn. I'm not really that super interested. I did love Yoshi's Story on the N64. Many people didn't, but I really did like it because I didn't care for Baby Mario and the Yoshi's Super Mario World 2. I just couldn't deal with it. But yeah, the craziest thing is like they talked about their passion about how they like to design it and how they decided to make their own yarn Yoshis.
Yeah.
To really get into it. It was kind of a very interesting thing that they allowed them to talk about it in that kind of detail. What else is striking your fancy? I don't want to talk about the big Z just yet, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so I thought that Splatoon is actually pretty interesting.
Yes.
I think you get a following behind it. I think that it could be a really, really fun game.
Yeah, I was watching some of Nintendo's streams on Splatoon, and it's kind of one of those things. It's kind of like, how would Nintendo do a competitive shooter? Right, they're a family company. You know, a lot of people just think of them automatically as a family company. But here's the thing about that is that this is a game that anybody can play and get into. It's really unique take on the shooter. Basically, you have to use paint, right, to actually navigate, and the object of the goal is to cover your enemy's cover your enemy's base as much paint as possible, and then try to win. And from the videos and stuff I saw, it looked really fun. It was like a 4-player, 4 versus 4 versus 4 versus 4, whatever. So yeah, but Splatoon looked really fun.
Yeah. Also, I liked that they had the Wii U gamepad feature where you could actually see where your teammates were and say like, oh, this is happening here. So you click that and you kind of
so you could be like the commander in a way.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So and I like that they actually went like all out and made this its own game instead of like throwing Mario and Luigi and he's calling it like Mario Paintball.
Oh yeah, exactly. So, and I think that was really good. Yeah, it definitely makes it stand out as a new IP, and you know, I think the more new IP that Nintendo has, the better it is for them.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else was there? Oh yeah, there was the trailer for the new Xenoblade. Well, it's called X. Now we know it's called Xenoblade Chronicles X, which means it's just Xenoblade Chronicles with the X after it.
Yeah.
I know they didn't show any gameplay off of it. It just showed like this big long trailer of these spaceships blowing things up, mechs flying around, and all this other stuff.
I loved every second of it. It was so animated.
Oh yes, yes. So I did get to watch some more of the Nintendo's live stream. They did some of it, and watched a little bit more tonight of it. And basically, I don't know if you played Xenoblade Chronicles or not, but
no.
But basically, it's an big open world RPG. The style's kind of like in a Phantasy Star meets Xenogears kind of thing. If you know anything about Xenogears, it was all about like it's an RPG with mechs, but this is a big open world to explore. And the one thing that's cool about Xenoblade, and that I'm just going to call the new one X, and the new one X had in common is that you can run into enemies of different levels. So even if you're level 2, just starting out roaming around the world, you can see this giant. It looks like a giant, bronchosaurus. I can't even talk. You know, what was it called? Brontosaurus, yeah. Like a giant brontosaurus-like creature just drinking water. It's at level 45. You're level 2. You could walk up and start a fight with it. And then, of course, you get wiped out, but that was the cool thing about the world is that it doesn't seem like there's the boundary of, okay, you're in this level, you're only fighting level 5, level 6, level 7 creatures. And this game also is doing that as well. And from what else I found out about the story of the game, apparently what happens is these two alien civilizations are going to war. And the battlefield just happens to be right over our planet. So apparently this actually has nothing to do with Xenoblade. It's just kind of a successor in a way. But apparently they decided to have a war over our planet, and, well, that kind of fucks up the Earth to the point it blows up. And so we are flying out people to start new lives, and for some reason the aliens just still want to fuck with us for some reason. Aliens just hate humans, I don't know why. And then we crash land on this planet, and apparently, there's like little civilizations in these space pods, so it's kind of like know if you ever watched the series like Gundam Wing or
Yeah,
I don't know any other sci-fi, where they had like the colonies in space and it looked like like actual cities and stuff with trees and all that, and they have something like that. But of course, these are crash landed. So they're like actual supposed to be like Neo Los Angeles in cities like that. So you're exploring this gigantic world, going to these big cities and exploring everything, and it just looks incredible. I'm really excited to see more on it, especially from the gameplay last year and stuff. It plays kind of like Xenoblade Chronicles, where it's a real-time RPG. The MIDI system kind of makes me think of something similar to an MMO in a way, but but a little more streamlined.
Right.
And things are really timing based, but with the original Xenoblade, it's rewarding. So this one looks interesting. Also, you can customize your main character this time, so you actually can be a guy, be a girl, and play or do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. What else from Nintendo other than the Big Z did? Yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking, we got Pokemon, which is.
Yeah. There's a new Pokemon. Let me take a look and see if there's something else from Nintendo. Oh yeah, did you hear about the new Nintendo game that was announced after the show?
What, Fantasy Life?
No, Project.
Oh, Project
Steam. Yeah. So it's pretty much like XCOM, but with but in the time of Abraham Lincoln, and Abraham Lincoln has you fight aliens.
All right then.
Yes. Yep. That's pretty.
Did you hear about Devil's Third?
Devil's Third. You know what? A lot of people were giving it crap, and I will admit, for people who don't know about Devil's Third, that game was a game that was originally supposed to come out to Xbox 360, PS3, was actually being worked on by THQ and the guy who worked on the Dead or Alive series. Well, as we all know, THQ went down the shitter, and so that stuff was in limbo. So Nintendo, who had been picking up a lot of stuff, especially like Bayonetta 2 and a lot of stuff you wouldn't expect, they picked that one up too. And I gotta say, from looking at the gameplay that I have seen of that game, and like I said, it's not going to be the most amazing game you ever played. It's probably not going to be the best graphically. It still looks like a 360 game kind of, but the crazy stuff you can do.
It's pretty wacky. I mean, it totally, the art style reminds me of kind of like Japanese trying to imitate Western art. What I mean? So, and it's so weird. The main protagonist in the single player covered in Japanese.
Yeah, there's actually apparently from Nintendo, they actually did a stream on it, Nintendo Stream, and the interesting thing is apparently they actually took stuff from Japanese mythology. Like he's supposed to be kind of like a version of some kind of Buddhist that went to fight a demon, and they paint all these symbols to protect him on his body, but the only thing they missed was his ears, and the demons ripped his ears off or something. But yeah, it's definitely a weird, interesting take. Apparently, you can switch from third-person action game to first-person shooter, which is kind of a cool idea. Yeah, so in other words, when you go shooting and stuff like that, when you go shoot, you'll be in first person, and then when you got your swords and doing your action and stuff like that, you'll be in third person.
And the multiplayer seems to have a lot of customization about it too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I mean, like I said, there's no way I'm going to spend $60 on this. But if I can find it for like 30 or 40, then yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Though me personally, I'm the guy who paid $60 for Metal Gear Rising. Depending on how reviews are, I don't think I'll pre-order it. But if I don't rent it, I may pick it up if people I know. I probably wouldn't trust game reviews because they'll crap all over. They won't like it. But for me, I would probably just be like, yeah, I'm going to. I definitely have to play it at some point or another. I will have to give this a try because it just, Oh, one other one we forgot to mention: Mario Maker, the game where you make your own Mario levels. What do you think about that? Is that something that appeals to you?
I think it'll be cool to pick up maybe 2 weeks after release, because then I can go in and there'll be those great levels. I would think that Nintendo will have something like, oh, here's the top hits, most downloaded, most popular.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's a downloadable game too. I don't see it being a $60 game.
No. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's really neat how you can switch from like the old school to the new school visuals. So I like where it's going.
I hope they eventually have something where they have Mario 3 style stuff in it, because that's what I want. That's what I really, really want, is that.
Yeah, and then I also liked, well, I don't know that I could say I liked, but I thought it was neat that they're packaging Bayonetta with the sequel, which is
I actually think that's a good idea, because there's a few people who may have missed out on it for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And and also did you see the Nintendo outfits she can wear? She can Link, Samus, or I just want to applaud Nintendo for actually picking stuff up, even though they're not getting a lot of third-party support. It seems like they're trying to reach out to other companies and saying, hey, look, if you got an IP, that you may not be working with, we might be interested in bringing it back. And I hope eventually they try to stretch this out to Western developers. It seems like they've been reaching out to Japanese, and I'm hoping eventually they'll reach out to more Western developers that are non-indie. Which one of the indie games coming out near the end of the month that's coming out on Wii U is Shovel Knight, so I'm just excited for that. But yeah, oh sheesh, what else was it? Because I actually got a list up here. I could send that to you on Skype if you want to see a list. It's like games that are, I guess, supposedly announced. Some of it, like one of it was like Gears of War 4, which I don't know why that's listed there on IGN.
They flashed a logo. That doesn't count.
Oh, they did? Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. The Gears of War 4 is a thing.
Yeah. So.
Let's see here. I guess we'll talk about the two Zelda games. Let's start out with Hyrule Warriors. Now, I know you love Dynasty Warriors, so I'll let you start out this.
Yes, please. Just that's my. I will be buying it. If they do any cool pre-orders, then I'll definitely be pre-ordering it. I know I'm gonna like it. So far, they've showed 4 characters. And I found a picture through Pro Jared's YouTube channel that has, like, I want to say 5 or 6 extra ones that I haven't revealed yet. So it's not normal. Usually Dynasty Warriors has, like, 100+ people you can play as, but you can't expect that out of this sort of thing. But from what I'm seeing, it's what I would like. So I'm definitely going to be getting it.
Yeah, and one thing I found interesting, I've been reading this on my Twitter, apparently they're saying half of the cast is going to be female, which I think is very, very interesting. And I've seen some of Nintendo's gameplay so far and seen some other stuff online. Zelda can hold her own. They have, what's her name from Twilight Princess, the one that rides on the wolf?
Oh, yeah.
Mina. Name slipping. But it's going to be a wide variety. Of course, you got, of course, I paused her name, and I've played, of course, Ocarina of Time thousands of times, and Impala, that's it.
Yeah.
She's in it. So I don't know if Sheik will be in it because Princess Zelda's in it, but that'd be just crazy to see if somehow, some way they had incorporated that. But that game, a lot of people aren't. It's not Dynasty Warrior type games aren't for everybody. To me, they're like good every once in a while. Just like let's just take out a bunch of enemies. It's just kind of like turn your brain off, have fun. I know some of it does have some strategy, and you do have to think. So it's not all cakewalk, but I mean, you could probably set it to make it a cakewalk. But still, those games are just kind of mindless fun for a few hours, and the Zelda twist to it is it's kind of crazy to me, but I like it at the same time.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think is pretty cool, is that Nintendo is starting to try that. They're not like just making another 3D Mario. They're not making another Yoshi's Island. They're like taking these IPs that people like and throwing them in things like Mario.
And you kind of seen that. I haven't got the chance to play it yet, and I want to get it for 3DS. Link Between Worlds, where they tried the stuff with the item shop and stuff like that. So I'm really curious to see. So let's talk about this other big Zelda game for the Wii U. Doesn't have a name yet. There's a lot of controversy, which has now been cleared up. But apparently there's going to be a new Zelda. It's going to be open world like Skyrim, and there's a monster, and you jump up like in the Matrix and shoot this freaky looking bow. So for me, the art style just looked incredible, man. It was very just beautiful detail. Like, to me, like, I never could get into games of Skyrim because I just never liked the graphical look. I never liked the combat, but I've always loved the combat of Zelda. and I always loved the art of Zelda. So this to me is kind of like, if something could get me into a Skyrim-ish type game, this would be it. But I don't think it's going to be a first-person game, which I'm kind of glad for because I don't like first-person games like that much. I know a lot of people love that kind of stuff. I'm not that big into it, but I really would love to see what they do with it. There was a controversy where Amura, probably said his name wrong, the producer behind it, made a joke about, I never, like, people were, like, asking about Link in the trailer. He's like, I never said it was Link, so everybody started speculating maybe it's a girl, maybe it's this and that. And they came out and was like, I was just kidding, guys.
Yeah.
So he just trolled everybody with that. But still, like, we won't get to see more gameplay till next year. But as far as a vertical slice of it, what are you thinking? Where do you think it will go? What do you want to see out of it?
I mean, I would almost, because if you see he doesn't have the tunic, he doesn't have the Master Sword, no shield, anything like that, I would kind of like, not an origin story, but I would like to see kind of a build-up, not just like, okay, now he's Link that we all know. So
the thing is, I don't really think they actually believe that the Zelda universes are really as linked as what we think they are.
No,
I think you even said it in an interview just recently, is like, you guys can think of it's linked if you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're their own standalone things. But yeah, as far as like an origin, as far as the character himself, like where he came from, or are you talking about like just origin story of the whole Zelda?
More of a not even an origin story, maybe more of just pre-tunic, pre-Master Sword kind of thing.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, they've done some stuff kind of like that. They did Minish Cap was before he had the hat and before the Master Sword and all that. And what was it? Skyward Sword is supposed to be even further, like supposed to be one of the first games in the timeline. And but that's a mess. I'm not going to try to keep up with it.
Yeah, but I mean, I love the art style. I think from where Wind Waker was, I think that's a perfect step right toward, I think, the cel-shaded meets the cartoon look. I really like it. I think it's really clean. So
yeah, it really is. It really is, and I'm really excited and can't wait till next year. So
yeah.
All right. So now I guess that was it for the press conferences. I guess I'll let you go ahead and start. Tell me the games that you're most excited for from E3. What is it that's getting your dresses blown up?
What am I most excited for?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would say Far Cry 4 is one of the things that I'm more excited for, just to see, because I really was a big fan of Far Cry 3, No Man's Sky. From the alpha, I really liked what I saw, just the couple matches I played of Destiny. I'm not going to pre-order it, but I definitely want to see where that's going to go. And I would say the Zelda's too early to say that I'm really, really hyped for it, because I mean, we really haven't seen anything other than that in-engine clip. But yeah, I mean, I guess those couple that I mentioned, I would say I'm the most excited for.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Far Cry 4 is going to be one of my most anticipated for sure. Just because even though I didn't finish Far Cry 3, just playing that game was just such a blast. It was just. It was, I mean, like I said, like I had mentioned before, bears, flamethrowers. Now I can use an elephant to kill people with.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's a definitely no-brainer. And I do want to show you this one game that's coming out to PS4. I'm just going to send you a link here. I want you to just take a quick look at it. This is going to be on the PS4. This is a fighting game, Guilty Gear XRD. This is GameSpot getting direct capture footage. This is supposed to be running on 1080p on the PS4, 60 frames a second. And you'll have to look at the art style, because normally they've been known for doing, Arc System Works has been doing 2D animated fighting games. They did Blaze Blue. They're doing Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. They did the other Persona 4 Arena, which Ultimax I'm excited for with all the news, even though it's on PS3 360. Really, really excited for that. And Persona Q for 3DS, which is made by the Entry, and honestly, people love my Persona. I can't get enough of that. As you know.
Yeah, that looks really clean. I like that art style.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And the thing is, like I said, they've been the masters of like doing stuff in 2D. And one of the interesting things is that if you can knock your opponents up in the air, it kind of does like a like a cool little 3D spin with it.
Hmm.
And if you watch the video long enough, you get to see one of the devastating finishing moves, like second or third round. Like it gets really, really elaborate with some of the stuff that it does. So you need that one. That's kind of one of the reasons I want to get a PS4, as silly as it's for a fighting game. But Destiny, of course, I do want to play. A lot of people I know playing the beta right now. I have an Xbox One, so that's not really possible. But one game that was announced, there was no footage of it, but it was originally a PSP title. Have you ever heard of Final Fantasy Type O or Type 0?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the game that came out to PSP in Japan. It was originally Final Fantasy Agato 13. It was part of the 13 trilogy. But I guess a lot of us thought it was going on forever. But they're like, nope, we're bringing it out, but we're making it really nice looking. You put it on Xbox One and PS4. And what's interesting is I was reading on Silicon Era, they've actually already got voice actors for it. So so I was like, wow, that was fast.
Yeah.
So it's going to be crazy. Already talked about the Master Chief Collection. Big Halo fan. I got to get that.
Yeah.
They also showed off Killer Instinct Season 2, new character, which I'm probably going to pre-order the other season because I did like Killer Instinct, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to see more about it before I decide to get it. But TJ Combo, the boxer from that game, he's back in it. That footage was looking really, really sick. Especially the stage they was in looked really, really awesome. Looked like a boxing arena, but it looked like a boxing arena that just exploded on itself. It was, disappointing that Final Fantasy 15 or Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't make an appearance.
Yeah, I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is a lot farther out than a lot of people think it is.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think we're going to see that, honestly, till late 15, maybe even early 16.
Yeah, and even a lot of people are disappointed with the fact of, what was that game? Sony? Oh, The Last Guardian, especially that whole thing with IG in Russia. Like, oh, it's canceled. And Sony's like, no, it's not. They didn't even show Star Wars Battlefront, didn't they?
That kind of. That was part of EA's conference thing. That was just a mess. Was instead of actually showing us footage or anything, they like to show us behind the scenes and conceptual footage. They did it with the Star Wars game. They did it with Mass Effect, and they did it with what's a free running game?
Free running? Oh, Mirror's Edge.
Yeah, they did it with Mirror's Edge as well. So
wow.
I was like, I can't get excited for concept footage.
I don't blame you. What about, remember that comic book cartoon? Yeah? Sorry, Dad? I'm so pumped because I saw pictures.
Yeah, totally. And one thing that I'm kind of intrigued by is, I know a lot of people don't like it, is the idea of a multiplayer Assassin's Creed campaign. I think that could get really interesting if they put the work into it.
That could be. I guess we could touch on that whole controversy a little bit about the whole...
it's so stupid. Let them make the game the way they want to make it.
Yeah, I just think the response itself was handled poorly. Like, and to be fair, definitely not going to crap on people for wanting female assassins or anything like that, and I have no problem with women being in games because female characters, especially really strong ones, are some of the best. But I was watching a video from somebody else, and he kind of put this into perspective. Women at the time of the French Revolution would have not done anything like that. Like, it was such a repressive era that even if they were to lead in a revolution, they would get backstabbed so quick.
Yeah.
And even so, like, women apparently at the time were even got arrested or even beheaded for fighting with merchants over prices, and it was just a terrible, terrible time. Where, of course, there were other parts where some women could stand up and did stand up, but I guess it didn't make sense for the time period, and I feel like that would have been a better response. And someone else mentioned, like, the whole whale hunting in Assassin's Creed. Like, people got upset about that in Assassin's Creed 4, and when they put it at the time was like, back then people hunted whales, they hunted it for food, and that was just part of the time. Because Assassin's Creed is a historical piece. Yeah. And in this case, I felt like they could have framed it better that way, but. Oh yeah. Or they could have mentioned that, we just didn't have time to prepare all the, it just felt like it could have been explaining it much better. I really doubt it was because, who wants to play as
The
a girl?
animations take a long time. Oh, but
Yeah,
one thing
yeah,
that I do
yeah. That
like
just
the
sounds bad. That's just like,
the crowd
gosh,
side.
women are too much work.
Yeah, yeah. Like, okay, well, all right. But
Well, you're
one thing
kind of
I
women are too
really
much
did.
work. Am I right? Uh, but
But
no,
I really did like the overall crowd sizes in the game. I think that that's going to open up a lot
yeah.
of stealth missions. I think the developer said on IGN the biggest crowd size they've had is like, I want to say 1 or 2,000 on screen. So like that's insane.
Hmm.
That is insane. But so just I don't know. I really like the naval combat, but I'm glad that they kind of abandoned it because it was. I mean, you can't rely on it for 3 straight games. But
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
kind
know.
of glad that, to be honest with you, I never cared for the naval stuff. To me, it was kind of like, I want to stab dudes. The last thing I want to do is sit on the boat. And, eventually I got into the combat. Naval combat. I was like, all right, it's not that bad. But I never had been like, oh, yes, boats. Like, even when Assassin's Creed 3, when they mentioned boats, it's like, what? Everybody else was, like, excited. I felt like I was the only one confused about it. But, yeah, if people like boats, I mean, more power to them. Assassin's Creed has been one of those series that I've always been slightly intrigued, slightly interested in. But when I get into them, there's always here's what plagued me with most Ubisoft games, other than Far Cry 3, was that you get in the missions, they're all the same. I'm having the same thing with Watch Dogs. They have some really cool stuff, but a lot of it is just repeated over
Yeah.
and over and over. But games like that, like Far Cry 3 and Saints Row 4, yes, Saints Row 4 missions were repetitive, but they were fun, though. They were
Yeah.
silly, they were fun. It was just kind of like, in Far Cry 3, it was just so much different variety. It was so
Yeah.
random. Um, like Far Cry 3, other than, doing the towers, but those were actually fun, were
Yeah.
repetitive. It felt like everything else in Far Cry 3 was just so random, and
Yeah.
so you never knew what you were going to run into or what you were going to expect, whereas in
And
Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed, you kind of have.
yeah, that's something that I kind of like that they did touch on a little bit, is that with the openness of the world, they said 1 in 4 buildings you can actually walk into in this game, which is pretty cool with the world size. But they said that you can actually, oh, there we go, you can actually go through and pick up information like just on your own, and say like you pick up information about like Joe Smith. Well, you can an hour or two down the road in one of the missions involving this guy be like, oh, you know what, I actually picked some information up on him like out of mission, so I actually have completed part of it, which is pretty cool. I think that's kind of cool how they incorporate the side missions like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. So I'm, I don't know if I'm going to pick it up. May rent it. I'm borrowing Assassin's Creed 4 from a friend, and I haven't really touched it much because then I got into Watch Dogs, played a little bit, and
yeah,
I haven't really touched it since then. I have Wolfenstein here that I need to play at some point, but I'm also wanting to get back to some RPGs, and of course, my PS3 I think is still going to be going for a while, especially with Persona 5, hopefully coming out next year, and I still got Dragon Guard 3 to play. I'm getting Persona 4 Arena, Ultimax, and we'll probably pick up the PS3 because I know that's where most people are going to be playing it.
yeah,
Also, I want to see what's going on in the story mode because from what I'm hearing so far on the Persona 4 story mode from the Japanese trailer, apparently this character is just this dude who apparently just hates everybody and hates the world. It's almost stereotypical in some ways, but the way Persona does it, it's just
right.
interesting. Apparently, this guy, he just wants to destroy everybody in the world, and it's just this one dude. But he can dual wield katanas. Just this
Oh,
guy, big scar on his face, red hair, dual wields katanas. And here's the crazy thing about this character is that he has 2 versions of himself. He has a version of himself with a persona and one without. So in other words, he has a mode where he doesn't use an alter being to fight with him. He'll just fight with that, which is like, that's pretty neat. On top of the
yeah,
fact you can have shadow, dark versions of the other characters
huh. Yeah,
too.
I jumped into P4G last night, so
Oh
I'm
yeah, yeah.
ready,
How far are you in
strapped in
that?
and ready. I played up until you jump into the TVs for the second time, and
Yeah.
you actually use your first
I'll tell
person.
you what. Finish P4G before Persona 4 Arena Ultimax comes out. Get it for PS3 because the thing is, they said that the original story from the first Persona 4 Arena is going to be included. and that way you'll be able to jump in and we can play or something if you get it around the time it comes out or something. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and then I was going to say, one game I wanted to finish, Tales of Exilia. The sequel's coming out this year, and I actually watched the trailer, not knowing what to expect, and that's really dramatic, because after watching that trailer is about a guy, I don't know too much, but this one guy, he's the main protagonist. This little girl watches her father get shot by an army of people, and her uncle is watching after her, trying to take care of her, and he has to go on this mission for some reason to try to find this thing. And to be honest with you, I felt like there was a more emotional connection between him and her than Aiden Pierce and his family. I was like, wow, like, why couldn't they be this emotional? This is a Japanese RPG, and they're more emotional than Aiden Pierce. But yeah, the Tales games is something I got into not too long ago. Like, I played Tales of Vesperia on 360 last year. First Tales game I ever played. One of the best. Troy Baker is freaking awesome in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's the main protagonist. Did you play Tales of Vesperia?
No, but Troy Baker has been stellar in everything.
Oh, trust me, dude. If you get a chance to get it on 360, if you can find it for cheap or something, definitely pick it up. It's really one of the best RPGs I've played. But yeah, I need to finish the first one, although I don't know how much you need to know going into this. But yeah, that one's kind of caught my eye. Another old generation game, but yeah, for me, it's more about the gameplay over the graphics.
Oh, and what's it called? Rainbow Six Siege was something that I wanted to bring up.
Oh, what is that about?
Surprisingly good. It is a 5-on-5 or 4-on-4 mission type of game. And it seems to be multiplayer focused, which is completely fine with me. But the bit that they show was a capture the flag type of thing, but it was a hostage situation. Yeah. So one team is trying to get the hostage to take him wherever, the other one's trying to rescue her. But I think one thing that's really cool is you start out, the enemies start out and they're trying to fortify the house, like the walls and the ceilings and all that, set up traps, whereas the other team has these little cameras they're going through trying to scout out to see where everyone is. Then once the timer goes, you bust in, whether you want to go in through the front door, you want to go in through the windows, whatever, you go in that way. But everything in the environment is destructible, so you can shotgun through walls, you can blast charge through ceilings and all that. So I think it's really, really interesting, because just from what I saw, what I've been hearing from people, there's just so much planning. And one game that I really loved was Payday 2, just the planning and the talking and the communication, and that's something that seems to be really, really prevalent in this game. Yeah. So, I mean, I want to say it's maybe a 2015 game, I think late 2015, but I'm really excited for it because it really sounds cool.
Yeah, I've seen some people were upset because it has a single player campaign. It's really more multiplayer focused. Do you feel like that bothers you in the at all, or were you never into the single player?
Not really. I mean, I know a lot of people were pretty mad because Patriots was more single player focused, and then they canceled it for this game. But I mean, if they're going to provide us with an awesome, unique multiplayer experience, and it's permadeath too, which I think is pretty cool. So, I mean, if they're going to provide us with something unique and something like that, I mean, yeah, I'm totally down for it.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm glad that somebody's out there and enjoying it. I can sympathize with people because I'm usually more into single-player games, and, except for fighting games usually. But yeah, I can definitely empathize with people when it comes to stuff like that. But, things do change, and, it's good that some people are happy about this, and they're going to get a game that they can enjoy, and that seems like that was what that game's
I mean, I'm more of a single player guy. Like I'd rather play single player than multiplayer any day. But with a game like that, I mean, I don't want to play single player.
I see what you're saying.
I'm going to play against a computer. They're going to do predictable things, where I can play against a group of fully functioning people, and they can do special tactics and work things out. It's going to make it a lot more enjoyable.
Same thing with fighting games too. You can play against the computer AI, and eventually you can learn its patterns. When you're playing with people, the crazy thing about fighting games, if you don't know, is that a lot of people play mind games. It's really not just about doing combos, but it's also can you get into the other player's head? Can you predict
Yeah.
what they're going to do? Also, can you bait them out and get them to do what you want to do?
Yeah.
So a lot of things like that. And as far as I don't know the formula shooters, how somebody knows when to shoot somebody and when not to.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, maybe some pro shooting person can give us information on that.
Yeah.
But it's just I follow fighting games so religiously. But yeah, as far as I can think of, I'm sure there's probably a few things I'm missing out here. Danganronpa 2 is coming out. Did you play the first one?
No, I didn't. I'm not a really big interactive novel kind of guy.
I'm not too big on it, but I was hooked on that game. It was just because of the story, really. Man, it was more kind of like, it had a little bit of Phoenix Wright where you had to solve puzzles and stuff.
Yeah.
And you had the trials. So it's not the most interactive experience, but yes, you do have to solve puzzles. You do have to put things together and figure it out. So it's definitely not. I mean, there's some element of gameplay, but yeah, I understand what some people don't want to. But it's so it's just the story's just so crazy. It's just so worth it to play that. And the sequel's coming out this year. The first one came out earlier this year. Now the sequel's coming out near the end. And especially like someone who's not really big into murders and things like that, I do like kind of mystery type stuff once in a while. Yeah. So that's really it's very intriguing. You're just a bunch of high school students who gets kidnapped by this crazy-looking bear that's like half white, half black, kind of like a yin and yang thing going on. And all he wants to do is make you miserable. He wants to make everybody miserable and make everybody kill each other for his own entertainment. That's pretty much what he wants to do, tries to drive people to madness. It's pretty sadistic in some ways, but I like it. It's like sadistic without like having people's guts hang out. So, which I kind of like more mental type stuff than.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess want to wrap this up.
Yeah, I mean, I think we hit up. So.
I'm sorry, what was that? I cut you off.
I think we touched all the bases. So.
Yeah, we have been to all the bases, girls. Yeah. No, sorry, it's too hard to do that. Anyways, but no, thank you guys for watching. It seems like just one person, but anyway, still, thank you very much for watching this long, listening to me talk. Do you have, so I guess it's time you can let people know where to find Mr. Richie. Where can we find you, Mr. Richie?
You can find me on Twitter at Richie D Rants, and you can find me on YouTube at Gaming Tech United.
Great. And of course, you can find me on this channel. You can follow me on Twitter at GameMachineTV to find out when we're doing another show, what we're wearing, who we're wearing, and what's in season. So, anyways, this is Adam.
This is Rich.
And have a good night and game on.